Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from, but I know this. You were not brought to this video by accident. You may have scrolled, swiped, clicked, or tapped your way here, but God called you here. But God called. Because there's something he needs you to hear before April 5, 2025. That date, it's not random. It's not a deadline to scare you. It's a reminder, a divine alarm clock, because there is a shift coming. A moment in your life, in your spirit, in your journey, that requires your heart to be awake and your soul to be ready. Some of you have been running from your calling, running from your pain, running from your purpose. But let me tell you something. You can't outrun destiny, and you definitely can't outrun God. He's been speaking to you in the silence. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from, but I know this. You were not brought to this video by accident. You may have scrolled, swiped, clicked, or tapped your way here. But God called you here because there's something he needs you to hear before April 5, 2025. That date, it's not random. It's not a deadline to scare you. It's a reminder, a divine alarm clock, because there is a shift coming, a moment in your life, in your spirit, in your journey that requires your heart to be awake and your soul to be ready. Some of you have been running from your calling, running from your pain, running from your purpose. But let me tell you something, you can't outrun destiny, and you definitely can't outrun God. He's been speaking to you in the silence. You were called here for a reason. That might sound like a dramatic statement to some, maybe even a bit cliche, but the truth is often wrapped in simplicity, and this truth is undeniable. You're not watching this by mistake. You're not here because of an algorithm or a coincidence. Something deeper pulled you in, something unseen but very real. There is a divine orchestration behind the moment you're in right now, even if you don't fully understand it yet.
Yeah.
Life has a way of aligning moments when your heart is ready, even if your mind hasn't caught up. Think back on the past few days, maybe weeks or even years. The questions you've been asking yourself in silence, the confusion you've been carrying, the emptiness that sometimes creeps in during the quiet hours. All of that has been preparing you for a moment like this. You've been searching, haven't you? Searching for clarity, for peace, for something real to hold on to. And maybe you've been pretending like everything's fine, because that's what you do. You smile, you push forward, you wear the mask. But behind that mask, there's a soul that's been crying out, even if the world couldn't hear it. You've been asking questions no one else seems to answer. Why am I here? What's next for me? Why do I feel this weight when everything around me says I should be happy? Those questions are not weaknesses. They're signals, markers of something stirring in your spirit, a calling that's been quietly growing, waiting for you to notice it. You may have ignored it, buried it beneath distractions, or even convinced yourself that you're not worthy of something greater. But here's the thing, God hasn't stopped calling. His voice doesn't fade when you stop listening, it just waits. And now, here you are, still breathing, still standing, still here. That means your purpose isn't finished. That means the chapter you thought was closed might just be the beginning of a new one. You've survived things that should have broken you. You've endured seasons that tried to silence your faith. But somehow in the middle of it all, you held on. Even if by a thread you held on. And that in itself is proof of something greater at work. Maybe you're tired, worn out from carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. You've been strong for so long, but deep down you're wondering if anyone sees how exhausted you really are. Let this moment be your reminder. You are seen, you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. There's a divine eye that has never looked away from you, not even for a second. Every tear, every sleepless night, every whispered prayer you weren't even sure would be heard. It's all been recorded. Not for judgment, but for purpose. Sometimes God doesn't speak in thunder. Sometimes he whispers through unexpected moments. A video, a sentence, a stillness that feels too heavy to ignore. And right now, this is one of those whispers. He's saying, listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit. This is not just about watching something. This is about awakening to something. That ache inside you, that pull you can't explain, that's not anxiety. That's alignment. Your soul recognizes what your mind is still trying to understand. You were called. You were chosen. You were meant to be here, right now in this very moment, hearing these words. April 5, 2025 is a divine turning point. It's not just a date on a calendar, it's a moment marked by heaven, a line drawn in the spiritual timeline of your life. And whether you fully understand what that means or not, your spirit feels it. It's why you've been restless lately. It's why certain things that used to make you feel full suddenly feel empty. It's why you've been waking up in the middle of the night with your mind racing and your heart asking questions you can't seem to answer. Something is shifting, something is stirring, and it's bigger than your circumstances, bigger than your emotions, bigger than anything you've seen before. There are seasons when heaven intersects with earth in a way that demands attention. Not through loud noise or bright lights, but through an undeniable urgency in your spirit. That's what this moment represents. April 5 isn't just another day. It's not just another moment to scroll past. It's not just another voice in the crowd. It is a checkpoint, a spiritual checkpoint, a moment God has carved out for you to realign, to reflect, to return, not to religion, but to your purpose, your truth, your destiny. Something sacred is connected to this day, and that's why you're being nudged, drawn, almost pulled toward it without knowing exactly why. This date may not mean anything to the world, but it means something to you, even if you can't explain it yet. It could be the day you let go of something heavy. It could be the day you make a decision you've been avoiding. It could be the day you finally choose obedience over comfort. Whatever it is, there is something coming that requires your readiness. And the preparation doesn't begin on that day. It begins now. The spiritual work, the heart work, the soul work. It's happening right now. In quiet moments like this one. It's not about dramatic change. It's about deep internal realignment, the kind that only comes when you stop running and start listening. Maybe you've been feeling like time is slipping through your fingers, like life is moving too fast and you can't keep up. That's because your spirit is recognizing the weight of what's ahead. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking. You're picking up on something that exists beyond the physical. God has a way of setting divine appointments, moments that act as spiritual crossroads. And you, whether you realize it or not, are standing in one right now. You can't walk into the next season carrying the baggage of the last one. You can't answer a new calling with an old identity. That's what this turning point is about. There are things you've tolerated for too long, habits you've excused, patterns you've repeated, people you've held on to out of fear, not faith. This moment is about release, not because God wants to take something from you, but because he wants to make space for something greater. Growth requires surrender. Transformation requires decision, and decisions require moments, sacred moments. April 5, 2025 is one of them. It's not the finish line. It's the beginning of something you can't afford to miss. Not because of pressure, but because of promise. You don't have to fully understand what's coming to prepare for it. You just have to be open. Willing, honest. God works through availability more than ability. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for surrender. And the closer you get to this divine turning point, the more things will try to distract you. Old temptations will resurface. Doubt will whisper louder. Fear will disguise itself as logic. But if you quiet the noise, if you lean into the stillness, you'll feel it. The pull, the prompting, the divine urgency that says something is coming and you were never meant to miss it. You can't outrun your purpose. No matter how far you go, no matter how many distractions you chase, no matter how loud you try to drown out the voice inside of you, it's still there. Purpose doesn't fade. Purpose doesn't fade. It waits. It waits in the silence. It waits through the chaos. It waits through the seasons where you forget who you are, but it never leaves. You can change your environment, your friends, your hairstyle, your plans, but you can't change the assignment that was written over your life before you even took your first breath. You were born with something eternal embedded in you, something sacred, something too heavy to be ignored forever. There are moments when life tries to convince you to settle. Settle for comfort. Settle for safety. Settle for survival. But your purpose wasn't designed for settling. It was built to stretch you, to call you into spaces that don't make sense to your flesh, but speak directly to your soul. That's why running doesn't work. You can move cities, change jobs, disappear from social media, isolate yourself from everyone who knew you, but purpose still knows your name. It knows your patterns. It knows your hiding spots. It knows your hiding spots. And more than anything, it knows how to wait for the right moment to rise again. Some people have confused running from purpose with growing, but growth without obedience is just movement without meaning. You've been moving, yes. But have you been moving forward or just moving away? You've been busy, but has your busyness brought peace? You've been achieving, but has your achievement fulfilled you? Deep down, you know the answer, because no amount of noise can silence a calling that was divinely placed. You can't numb it. You can't bury it beneath fake smiles and filtered photos. You can't outrun the echo of your own name being whispered by heaven. Sometimes purpose chases you through pain, through failure, through disappointment. Not because God is punishing you, but because he's reminding you. Reminding you of what you're made of. Reminding you of what he put in you. That ache in your heart that won't go away. That's not failure. That's potential knocking. That's destiny asking you to stop hiding, and you know it. That's why you feel a pull even when everything around you looks like it's fine. That's why no matter how many people applaud you, you still feel incomplete. Because applause can never replace alignment. And alignment only comes when you stop running. You've tried to make yourself smaller so others would feel comfortable. You've dimmed your lights so others wouldn't be threatened. But the truth is, your light wasn't given to you for their comfort. It was given to you for impact. It was given to you for impact. It was given to you to disrupt darkness, to break cycles, to inspire change. And the more you try to deny that, the more restless you'll become. Because you weren't built to blend in. You were built to stand out, not for ego, but for purpose. There is a generation connected to your obedience. There are people waiting on the other side of your courage. And as long as you run, they stay waiting. You don't need more time. You need more truth. You need to remember that the discomfort you feel isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're fighting against what you were born to become. Purpose isn't always convenient. It rarely fits into your 5-year plan. It's messy. It's scary. It will stretch you and expose your weaknesses. But it will also fulfill you in ways nothing else ever could. The longer you run, the louder the void becomes. The more you deny it, the heavier your spirit feels. Because purpose doesn't leave. It lingers. It lingers in the words you don't say, in the dreams you keep putting off, in the moments you know were meant to be more. You are already enough in God's eyes. Before you accomplished anything, before you failed at anything, before you even knew who you were, he saw you. He saw everything, your potential, your flaws, your dreams, your fears, and still called you worthy. The world might measure your value by your achievements, your appearance, your bank account, your social following, but none of that defines you in the eyes of the one who made you. You weren't created to prove your worth. You were created from it. Every breath you take is evidence that you matter, that you carry divine intention in your very existence. There are moments in life where you look around and wonder if you're falling behind. You compare yourself to people who seem to have it all together, forgetting that appearances rarely tell the full story. You feel the pressure to do more, be more, earn more, because somewhere along the way, you believe the lie that you are only as valuable as your latest accomplishment. But God doesn't see you through the lens of performance. He sees you through the lens of purpose. And purpose is never earned. It's discovered, it's lived, it's breathed into you by the same hands that shape the stars. You don't have to hustle for approval when you already have divine acceptance. You don't have to shrink to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold the weight of your calling. God didn't create you to be a duplicate. He created you to be distinct. Your scars, your setbacks, your stumbles, they're not disqualifiers. They're part of your testimony. The grace that covers you is not conditional. It's not based on your past. It's based on who he is. And he is love. Unshakable, unchanging, undeniable love. There are days when the mirror feels like an enemy. When your reflection whispers every insecurity you've ever felt. When the voice in your head sounds more like your fears than your faith. But even on those days, you are enough. Not because you feel strong, but because you were fearfully and wonderfully made. That truth doesn't waver with your emotions. It doesn't fluctuate with your success. It stands firm and rooted, no matter what season you're walking through. You may feel overlooked by people, but you have never been overlooked by God. He sees the quiet effort, the tears cried in silence, the moments you kept showing up even when you wanted to quit. He sees the weight you carry, the kindness you give, the dreams you're scared to speak out loud. And he's not waiting for you to become someone else before he uses you. He's waiting for you to recognize what's already inside you. The strength, the resilience, the fire, the favor. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have the perfect words, the perfect path, the perfect plan. All you need is the willingness to believe that you are not a mistake. that your life, no matter how messy, still matters, that every step you've taken, even the wrong ones, can be used for good, that the same God who created galaxies also crafted your soul, and he doesn't make things without value. He doesn't make things without purpose. The world might try to convince you that you're lacking, that you need to do more to be seen, say more to be heard, become more to be loved. But you were seen before you were born. You were heard before you ever prayed. You were loved before you ever learned how to love back. There is nothing missing from you that God can't use. There is nothing broken in you that he can't restore. The truth is, what you think disqualifies you is often what God will use to elevate you. Because his grace isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for your yes to stop hiding and start rising. You've spent too long shrinking yourself to fit into places that could never contain the weight of your calling. You've spent too long dimming your light because you were afraid it would make others uncomfortable. But the truth is, hiding has never protected you. It's only delayed the breakthrough waiting on the other side of your boldness. You were not created to live small. You were not designed to blend in. There's a reason you feel that unrest in your spirit every time you silence your voice, every time you hold back when you know you were meant to move forward. There's something inside you that refuses to be buried. It doesn't matter how deep you push it down, how many excuses you stack on top of it, how long you try to pretend it isn't there. It always finds a way to rise back up. That's purpose speaking. That's destiny knocking. And the more you try to suppress it, the more it will pull on your heart, because it knows there's more in you. You've hidden behind fear. You've hidden behind doubt. You've even hidden behind perfectionism, convincing yourself that you're just waiting for the right time, when really you've been waiting for permission. But God already gave you that permission the moment he placed that fire inside you. There comes a time when you have to stop rehearsing your potential and start walking in it. No more testing the waters. No more playing it safe. No more saying it maybe someday. Someday is now. You've got too much vision to stay invisible. You've got too much impact to keep pretending you're not ready. Ready doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean fearless. It means willing. It means you step forward even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if your knees are weak. You rise, not because you feel confident, but because you're finally tired of settling for less than what was promised to you. The enemy of your soul would love nothing more than to keep you hidden, to keep you stuck in cycles of shame, regret, and self-doubt. Because as long as you hide, you can't help anyone. As long as you hide, your gifts stay locked inside you. But when you rise, when you finally stand up and declare that enough is enough, everything changes. Your environment starts to shift. Your mindset begins to transform. Your spirit starts to awaken. And those who've been watching you from the shadows, waiting to see if you'd be brave enough to go first, they find the courage to rise too. You were never meant to stay in the background. You've been equipped, anointed, and positioned for such a time as this. Every lesson, every loss, every detour, it all prepared you for this moment. You've got something the world needs, your story, your wisdom, your light. And the more you hide it, the more the world suffers from the absence of what you were meant to bring. Stop waiting for someone else to confirm what God already called you to do. Stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect. Faith doesn't wait for easy. It moves in obedience, and obedience always precedes elevation. There's a version of you on the other side of this decision. And a version that's stronger, freer, more powerful than you've ever known. But you'll never meet that version if you stay in the shadows. This is the season of rising. Not because you figured everything out, but because you're finally done pretending that you're not called. You can feel the shift. You can sense the urgency. You know it's time. The hiding place isn't safe anymore. It's suffocating. And deep down, you know you weren't meant to stay there. You were meant to soar. You were meant to stand tall in the fullness of who you are. This is not pressure. It's purpose. What you're feeling right now, that weight on your chest, that stirring in your spirit, that fire you can't quite put up. It's not anxiety. It's alignment. It's not the world closing in on you. It's heaven opening something up inside of you. The tension you're carrying is not there to break you. It's there to build you. You're not being crushed. You're being called. And while it may feel overwhelming, while it may feel too heavy to carry some days, you have to understand that what's resting on your shoulders is not the burden of expectation. It's the mantle of purpose. So many people confuse pressure with purpose because they've never been taught the difference. Pressure screams at you to perform, to impress, to constantly prove yourself. But purpose whispers, steady and strong, reminding you of who you are and why you were created in the first place. Pressure leads to burnout, but purpose leads to breakthrough. Pressure makes you question your identity, but purpose calls you back to it. You are not being pushed by the world. You are being pulled by heaven. And there is a huge difference between the two. You've been walking through doors that don't fit you. Trying to squeeze yourself into timelines that were never written for you. Comparing your process to people who aren't even walking the same path. And now, because things haven't lined up the way you expected, you've started thinking you're behind. But the truth is you're not behind. You're just being refined. God isn't late. He's preparing. He's been molding you in private so you can handle what's coming in public. And the weight you feel isn't a curse. It's confirmation. It means there's something inside you that is meant to carry influence, to carry light, to carry change. And it was never supposed to feel light, because purpose always comes with a cost. You don't have to carry this on your own. You were never meant to. That's the beauty of walking in purpose instead of pressure. Pressure isolates you. Purpose connects you. Pressure makes you strive for validation. Purpose reminds you that you're already chosen. And once you understand that, once you realize that this weight was tailor-made for your shoulders, you stop running from it. You stop resenting it. You stop seeing it as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Because anything that has the power to impact others will always come with moments that challenge your comfort. The world will try to convince you that ease is success, that the smoother the road, the more blessed you are. But real purpose, the kind that changes lives, the kind that breaks generational cycles, the kind that brings light into darkness, the kind of purpose is not born on easy streets. It's forged in fire. It's strengthened in the wilderness. It's shaped through tears, through late nights, through silent prayers that only God heard. And that's what you're walking through right now. Not because you're weak, but because you're trusted. You've been entrusted with something sacred, something powerful, something that requires pressure to unlock its full potential. You can't be afraid to feel the weight. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Oil is pressed from olives. Gold is refined by fire. You are not being destroyed, you are being defined. The process is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also necessary. There are things inside you that only pressure can reveal. There's a depth to your strength, a depth to your faith, a depth to your character that only rises when life presses in. So if it feels heavy, if it feels like too much, that's not a sign you're in the wrong place. That's a sign you're standing exactly where purpose is trying to rise.